Brass, Lancashire, SimCity Build It, and Into the Inferno. This is Staying In.
Do you know what? Right. I want to stay positive.
Oh, God.
This charity mail stuff that we are doing is great.
Yes.
We have had people join us.
Loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Right. Here's the thing that I love about it. So far, it's given me definitely a thing to work towards. I feel like I'm measuring more about what my actual exercise in daily life actually is by just using this app and just being like, right, I'm walking to work, put on the little app, and then it's measuring my steps in the Charity Miles app, and then I get at the end of it and I hit yes, and I'm like, I've just raised some money. I just raised some money for some whatever, like it's great. And that's good. And also, I like the fact that I can see everyone doing it. Like it's really cool. Like this idea of everyone sort of pushing together to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a community aspect, isn't it?
It's really lovely.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it as well. Although I keep forgetting to turn it on. I get like halfway down the road, I'm like, oh, yeah. Damn it!
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to work it into my life. Kris, how are you doing with it?
I'm like Daniel. Turning it on, off, and on is a tricky thing for me. I only use it for running, essentially. So when I have my app to measure the distances I've travelled in that regard, really. Yeah. Because I drive to work, my walking isn't as sustained as it is for you guys, really. So to really get the most out of it, just to add to what you said, Pete, just knowing that it's not just us four doing it, it's great. I mean,
it's really cool, isn't it?
It's wonderful. Like the fact that people, like some of these people I've never met before, and yet they've very kindly come to join our ramshackled team.
Like, genuinely, like, when people join it, I'm like, it's weird.
I'm really excited when I see that someone else has joined.
Yeah, it's weird, but in a really good way, right? Because it's like, oh, this is a person that knows too much about, like, we have shared secrets with on this podcast. Like, they know a bit about it, and they're still prepared to hit the button and walk with us. I think that's lovely, genuinely.
I mean, already, we've already raised, like, approximately, like, $30.
For doing basically nothing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And as you say, you do get that feeling of, yeah, I've just raised a bit of money. Or, as I say, when I forget, and I have missed it turning on, part of me is like, I've done all that walking and I've not got anything for it. I should have been earning money for this.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I mean, it does mean that in conversations now, I've been turning around to people and they say, oh, so what do you do? And I go, I'm a philanthropist. I do a lot of charity work every day.
But what a great way to start your day, Pete. You get to work and you've raised money for charity. I mean, it's a tiny amount, but it's still an amount, and it will build up and it will accrue.
Exactly.
And it's that healthy competition that it's
exactly.
You competing with yourself to want to support a charity of your choice. Isn't that just a wonderful thing, really?
It's lovely, and I love it.
And big thanks to the kind of the people who have also joined us as well. So it's not just us. We've got another, I think 4 other people have joined, who are part of the team. And so thank you to them for joining as well and kind of adding to the scores. I think we're all raising money for Stand Up to Cancer. And I think some of the other people who've joined, they're raising money, I think, for World Wildlife Fund, which is amazing. Yeah. And it's really nice just to kind of see those kind of things. And kind of, I'm trying to keep track of kind of how much we've run, how much we've raised, what we've raised for which charities and stuff like that. So hopefully kind of over the months I'll be able to keep us abreast of all of that changes. But really enjoying it. I salute you, Pete, for finding this app.
Well, salute accepted, Dan.
Put your feet up for the rest of the year, Pete.
Off I go.
I'm trying to have an open conversation and see how you guys are doing.
What?
Dan, we never ask each other how we are.
Exactly. I'm just playing, bit. I'm not. This is going completely off script. Thought I'd just throw this open to the group. What are you up to? How we doing? I haven't spoken to you in a while.
Good. It's true, honestly. Like, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I said, I've got these really close mates with this podcast, and Yeah, I like. They were like, oh, cool. And it suddenly dawned on me that like the kind of basic questions and the basic things about your mates that most people know, I generally don't really.
What do you want to know about me, Kris?
I don't know. I just
nothing.
I'm an enigma. I like the fact that you're a bit of an enigma.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm worried that the more I know about you,
the
less enigmatic you'll become.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, every episode's a new mystery.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like a sci-fi series where there's like tons of universe and backstory and lore. You don't actually want to know what's really happening.
No. I mean, look at the Han Solo film and the Star Wars, prequels.
All right. Yeah, well,
if they did a film called... If Ron Howard directed a film called Willington...
Yeah.
It would spoil a lot of the mystery, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
really?
it would just be him filming me just sitting on the couch...
In your pants.
Scratching my ass. Yeah, I don't know.
In 4K.
In 4K, in beautiful 4K. But in that weird, 60 frames a second stuff.
Narrated by Werner Herzog.
Yeah, no, do you know what? Oh, right, okay, let's talk, okay, if we want to get real for a second, and we do want to get real for a second, I strongly recommend that you do not watch is it Werner or Werner?
Werner Herzog, yeah.
Werner Herzog's Into the Inferno. Have you heard of this?
I've only ever seen one film by Werner Herzog.
Oh,
is that with the prisoners on death row, Dan? That's what I watched, his documentary where he interviewed inmates on death row.
No, I watched a documentary called Cave of Forgotten Dreams. So what's Into the Inferno?
Into the Inferno is all about volcanoes, right? And so I've been really I've talked about it previously, but I've been really I'm trying to declutter my brain at the moment.
Spark joy.
And spark joy. And I'm trying to do less genuinely, because it is genuinely hard for me to do it. And one of the things, and it's because I have such a personality that is do everything immediately. Also go full force into it. Or
as we refer to it, going full Willington.
Going full Willington.
Yeah.
And I've been trying, and I have been quite successful in some of the things that I've been doing, to not just go full on with it. And so I decided. So Alex went off, and she's just got a new tattoo, and she went up to Birmingham to go and get a lovely new tattoo. It looks fantastic. And so I was staying at home. She had to stay there overnight. So basically, I was staying at home and I was looking after the bug. And I was like, do you know what? It's the weekend. I want to feel really nice and relaxed. Do you know what I'm going to do? I went to the pub and I had a pint with my pals from work, some of my pals from work.
Then fell asleep.
Right. And I fell asleep in the pub.
Both of them.
Then came home, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to order myself some takeout. I haven't had takeout in ages, and I just want to relax, have a lovely time. And I ordered a pizza, and it was really disappointing. But had ordered a pizza and thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to listen. I'm going to watch this Into the Inferno by Werner Herzog, because somebody at work really recommended it to me. And so I'm in this slightly, fragile mind state where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just trying to chill out and just making sure that everything's dandy and lovely. And so this documentary is about volcanoes, and or at least it pertains to be. And it starts off because I was sat there yeah, show me cool pictures of volcanoes. Yeah, we great.
Yeah, you're not going to get that with a Werner Herzog film.
I don't know who Werner Herzog is. So, I was, eating from this, pizza box, just yeah, lava's cool. And then, and by the end of it, the documentary finished, the credits had rolled, Netflix had gone on to that, watch the next thing, and, all you're thinking about is the abyss of time and the meaninglessness of our time on this planet, and that all human endeavour is pointless. And it's just yeah.
If you described that experience to me, I would have probably said, You just watched the Werner Herzog film, haven't you?
I know, but I didn't know who Werner Herzog is. I just wanted to watch a fucking documentary about lava.
Dan, Pete thought he was watching that old film with Tommy Lee Jones where a volcano appears in LA. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Or Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan.
I thought it was going to be like this guy was like, hello, look at volcanoes. They are fantastic. And I thought it was just going to be that throughout the entire thing. Just like...
So Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't it?
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a weird choice by Werner to cast him as that. But like, he's like, oh, look at this. It's... all the lava is flowing out of it. It looks incredible. And then you're like, that is incredible, Werner. I'm eating my 3 cheese pizza. Nom. And then like on a dime, he's like, also, this French couple, they really loved each other and they looked after volcanoes for a really long time and now they're dead. And it's like, okay. And then he's like, oh, and also at some point soon, the earth will be consumed by fire. It's just like, yeah, okay, Werner.
I have always kind of thought of him as kind of like the kind of the filmmaker personification of like the phrase of when you look into the abyss looks back into you.
Yeah. Oh man.
Nietzsche.
And so I've been trying to enjoy these things, and it was absolutely the wrong thing at the wrong time. But
have you seen Moana?
I haven't seen Moana.
Just a little animation at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's
the lava song. I sing the lava song to Toby all the time. It's amazing.
Does Toby like
just like a short film, which is a volcano singing about how he's lonely. It's amazing.
Oh, poor volcano.
Because it's interesting when I was in and I've talked about it quite a bit when I was in New Zealand. There's like myths associated with the volcanoes there. So if you've got certain volcanoes away from each other, like at a distance from each other, it means that once upon a time in myth they fell out of each other. That's why they're located
really cool.
the way they are. They're arranged the way they are.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Pete. There's a double bill for you. Into the Inferno, followed by the
end credits, and the music is just the lava song.
Yeah, never again.
I'm quite careful. I'm either looking for something that's going to spark joy, as you say.
Yep.
Or as Mario Kondo would say. For example, recently, just after Christmas, I went to cinema and watched Mary Poppins Returns, which sparked nothing but joy in me, and it was an absolute delight.
I think that I am very glad that we live in an age where you can go and see Mary Poppins, Dan. I'm genuinely very glad that we live in an age where, like, it's cool for us to say, as dudes, like, do you know what? I don't want horrible. I don't want grim. What I want is a nice story about a lady who turns up and tidies up. Right? And, like, that is
and
like...
slaughters the family.
Right, okay. That's a different thing. That's a very different... That's like the Werner produces one. But like, you know, like Marie Kondo, for example, or like a lady turns up and she looks after some kids. That's nice. Like...
What I actually found quite interesting is when I watched it, I came out of it and it reminded me how much I loved the original Mary Poppins. And I thought about kind of... I hadn't seen the original kind of properly in years and years and years. And I started thinking about what I would consider my favourite films to be. And most of my favourite films on my list or so were kind of relatively modern films. Or films that would have kind of really made you think and really kind of had an impact and stuff like that. And I did start to think of like, well, why is that? Why are the films that I class as my favourite films predominantly kind of these critical darlings, and which I love the films and they're fantastic films, but they're not the films that just bring me joy. I love The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. Does it bring me joy? Am I happy watching it? Probably not, but I really enjoy the film. Whereas watching Mary Poppins Returns filled me with joy, and I just walked out that cinema skipping, and it was great.
There's something about this. I get really frustrated with websites like IMDb and stuff like that, where I go onto one of those things and I'm like, okay, as a person who doesn't really care about films, I'm like, I'd like to know what the best 50 films are, right? The top 50 films. And you go and see IMDb's top 50 films list, or Rotten Tomatoes, whoever it is. And the top 50 films of all time, they are almost invariably really, really upsetting, right? Like, they tackle awful things, like the worst that humanity can do. And I got thinking about this. This is very real. See what you've done, Dan?
Yeah, no, that's lovely. It's brilliant.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So, like, we as a society, we have, for some reason, we've categorized our favorite movies, and those favorite movies, most of them are about plumbing the depths of human existence, right? How bad things get, right? And this is not a comment on like how important those movies are, or how quality those movies are, the filmmaking, the everything that goes into making movies. But like, I think there is something very telling about our society that prioritizes movies like, is it The Thin Red Line, or and like Shawshank Redemption and Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan, and all of these very meaningful, important movies. I think it says something about our society and our culture of absorbing a specific kind of content that it has me slightly, maybe not worried, but I think it explains a lot. Like, I think we as human beings, we really like to consider... Well, I think we get excited about war and violence and conflict and all these horrible things. And, like, if you look at the movies, like, you know, you hear all these people who are like, oh, best movies, Fight Club, best movies, Godfather, best movies, Scarface. Like, all of these, like, films about horrible people doing violent stuff. And same with all these, all these other movies and stuff. What we don't, and we put those up on a pedestal and we're like, these are amazing, incredible artistic achievements. And what we don't do is we don't put films up there like, we don't put things up there like, there isn't very much comedy. There aren't very many rom-coms. There aren't very many, like, romantic adventures, right? Like, there aren't very many things that are celebrating the good in humans. And I wonder if that's because it's easier to do things that are dark and grim, and therefore you can reach a higher quality quicker, or if we just inherently as human beings find conflict and the things that we hope never happen to us more engaging.
It's really interesting, actually, because I went through my DVD collection when we were moving house, trying to work out, okay, what can I, take to the charity shop, that kind of thing. And it was interesting going through it and finding that, like, my favourite, like, the films that I really, really liked and I thought were in my top 10, like you, Dan, weren't the ones that I watched the most. And I was surprised to find that out of all the films in my collection, the one I've watched the most is probably Sleepy Hollow. And it sounds bizarre. Like, why is that the film I've watched the most? Sleepy Hollow. It's 20 years old this year.
But clearly, it resonates with you.
I don't know why. I just like having it around. It's that whole spark of joy thing.
Yeah.
But I would never have ever thought about it being in my top 10.
I think there is something to be said, and I think it takes a brave critic to do this, or a brave person to do this who thinks about, media a lot. But I think there is something to be said about saying, do you know what? Yes, there is a set of movies over here that we have canonically agreed are all excellent, right? But you know what? My favourite movie is What Women Want.
Is this your reveal, Pete? Is this what you're saying? Are you a big fan of Mel Gibson fronted rom-coms?
No, don't ask him to answer, Dan. I like the mystery.
The more you learn, the less of an enigma he becomes.
Exactly.
well, I was going to talk about foam and why I'm excited about it. I could very quickly talk about that.
What, have you been to a foam party?
No.
Do you just like bubble baths?
No. I mean...
He's emptied his whole bottle of matey.
I mean, I do. But
you don't have a bath, Pete. How do you cope if you like a bubble bath?
No. Yeah, do you know what?
He just fills the bottom of the shower down.
Do you know what I do?
It's a
like
very shallow bath.
It's very shallow. I do like baths, actually. I wish I did. I genuinely do wish I had a bath, because like I like spending time in the shower. I like time like to myself to mentally decompress in the shower, and I like doing it in the bath as well. And I do like the old bath bomb as well. But no, we don't have one of those. No,
why didn't you? You can get a cheap paddling pool from Argos.
That's true. I couldn't I, Chris?
Genuinely.
You're getting naked, hopping on your bike, do a quick 10k, and then hop off, drop in the paddling pool.
Yep. You drop into
Taco promptly bites into it, bursts it.
Calamity.
Alex walks in, you just strewn about, water everywhere, Taco swimming.
Yeah, matey bottle in a strange place. What I'm talking about. So the foam thing. So I got very excited about foam recently because so one of the things that I have been really enjoying, and I have not gone full Willington yet, and this is actually proving to be this is my crucible, Dan. This is my crucible, because I'm actually quite restrained, right, with my models, my war games.
You say that?
No, legit. I've actually nearly finished all of my models.
And the painting looks really, really good.
Well, it looks it looks fine. It looks okay from like a foot away, which is my standard basically. If it doesn't look terrible from a foot away, I'm like, that'll be fine.
The thing is though, Pete, I think it looks really good. You might not, because unfortunately for you, you live with someone who is extremely good at painting.
Yeah, it's
a professional artist.
A professional artist. Yeah, so she's ridiculously good at painting, and the people actually who the pals that I work with, they're all really good at painting as well. So yeah, they all run laps around me, but it's really nice because I get really inspired by how good they are. Yeah, so I've been getting into that, and it's been nice. I've been like really trying like. One of the things, for example, and this is why it's my crucible, I've got eBay on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I could just buy, or look at how cheap all of this stuff is, and I could just get all of these nice things that I always wanted when I was a kid. Like, I could get all of this stuff, and I could get into this game, and 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 it could just go forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and I can buy, 3,000 points worth of these armies, and all this sort of stuff, and I haven't, and I'm training myself to not do that. But the one thing that I absolutely must have, and I love it, and I think it is great, is there's a company, and they're called Feldherr, Feldherr, and they make this foam and these cases, and you basically you spend all your time painting you buy your models, and they're quite expensive, like they're not cheap by any means, and you have to go through 3 or 4 because you all of them up.
Just like an inch thick of paint just around it.
Yeah,
can't tell what it was.
Thin your paints. But the main thing is time, really, right? You spend all this time, so you might spend. I spend maybe like 4 or 5 hours, maybe on a model, like total. Maybe about 7 or 8 hours actually, from start to finish, like putting it all together and gluing it and shaving off the little bits that I don't like, and spraying them with a colour, and then putting all the nice little colours on, then dotting the eyes, and then going like rubbing it all out, and then dotting the eyes again and getting it just right. So all of that, and then the worst thing is that you then just chuck them back in the box, and they all get bashed up and broken and rubbish, and it sucks because it's just like you spend all this time on these things and it's really difficult to store them. And also, I don't want a big glass display case, because while that does look cool if you're really good at doing stuff, and we do have some in a bookcase because some of Alex's are really, really good. Mine are awful and should be hidden away from out of sight, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. But what you can do is you can purchase these cases, and what the cases do is, so some of them, well, the one I bought recently, and this is the one I got really excited about, is for a game that I'm playing at the moment, and it fits within the box that it all came in. right? So you don't have to get a little separate case. You just take out the inner component of the box that the game came in, and you slide this foam into it, and then you can put all the game components back in, and the models, and it's all the models sit in this specifically cut out foam, and it looks great, and it looks beautiful, and it doesn't take up any more space in the house, and it is genuinely one of my favourite things. That is a joy sparker. Like this, you know, these little cases. So obviously, you know, these models, they take up space. The whole hobby takes up a bit too much space, but just putting it all away and going, that was fun, and then putting it back up onto the shelf and going, that was great, and they're safe and sorted, and we can play that whenever we want, and they'll all look great whenever they come back out again. It's been absolutely lovely. I got very excited about foam.
Is there anything else you'd want to put in foam, Pete, just to tidy up your life and organise it a bit more?
I'd like to put in myself sometimes, really, because like I keep smashing my shin against the bed at the moment. That's my thing at the moment. I keep stubbing my toe and stuff.
What's your mattress like?
It's a memory foam.
Oh, so that's fine. It's a more foam. That's fine. And so it's your bed coming out. It's your foot hanging out of the bed.
Well, I think he's banging his foot on the base of the bed, not the mattress.
Yeah, not the mattress. Also, I don't sleep on a mattress on the floor, Chris.
No. What I meant is that I just pictured you asleep with your one foot dangling out of the bed, and then just you turn and bash your foot into it.
Oh, right. Thinking... Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Like it's some like movie in the 60s. Yeah, no, it's yeah, no. So I don't remember my foot. But yeah, I genuinely and just putting these little bits together and just that's the thing that's been really like de-stressing, really nice to just sit there and I listen to Jeeves books, audiobooks. Jeeves and Worcester.
Do you
books.
listen to the dramatisations or do you listen
No, I listen to the is his name Cecil? The guy who reads them, Cecil? Not the dramatisations, basically just the audiobooks read. And I'm on to like book 5 now, I think. I'm doing them all chronologically, and they're just lovely, and just like listening to them and just painting a little thing, and just it's so nice. I've been doing a bad thing with my mobile phone, and you've been doing a question mark thing with your mobile phone. We've been playing like
what you're talking about.
Okay, not that thing. Okay. We've been playing SimCity Build It, right?
Oh, we have, yes.
And I would really like to know what you think about it, because I am kind of in two minds about it.
Now, are you still playing it?
No, that thing has gone.
Okay, because I think there was talk about us talking about it on the previous episode, and you were kind of like, no, I'm not really playing it anymore. And at the time, I was very close to stop playing as well. And then something changed. And now I'm playing it more than ever. Okay,
so just to fill people in, because obviously I don't know. We've got the Fortnite audience now, so we have to explain what SimCity is. So SimCity is SimCity as a franchise is a game in which you have to build out a city, a simulation of a city, and you have to work out the roads, and you have to build residential areas and commercial areas and industrial areas. You have to worry about pollution and police and fire. You have to build them out. It's all done on a grid, and you make these little cities run. And there's no real end game. It's more about like, how do you want to build your city? So we talked about like city skylines on like a previous episode, and I said that, you know, that was basically the ultimate evolution of where SimCity was going. It's like the next big SimCity. So SimCity Build It, which is the one that we've been playing, is the mobile phone version, which is the free to play one, and it. Yeah, so and it's free to play. So it's got some of the trappings of free to play building games, which is stuff like you have built certain buildings and they produce resources. Those resources are specific kinds. So, for example, metal, wood, glass, seeds. So you can produce those, and then you put them you build them, and they take a certain amount of time, and you can skip those with premium currency, or you just wait. And then you put them into other buildings, and you create other items out of those things. So, for example, you might combine metal with like chemicals, and then I think that produces paint. And then you use paint and use wood, that first set of resources, and use this second, more complicated set of resources together to create to upgrade buildings. It feels like quite a good adaptation of the ideas of the original SimCity games, and City Skylines and those kind of city building games. But there is some of that free-to-play stuff, and I guess your mileage will vary depending on your tolerance of that thing. There are also like events and stuff. I'm assuming that it was an event because there are also like live events. It's a game as a service, so like there's live events where like, hey, at the moment it's Christmas, so you can buy a special Christmas building for 20,000 simoleons, and other fun stuff like that. And there's other social elements as well. Why are you being dragged back into the world of SimCity Build It, Dan? Because I genuinely did not think you would be.
Well, I was on the verge of dropping out, and that was because I got to the point where I got quite far into the game. I unlocked quite a lot of stuff, and so in order to progress in the game, you constantly got to be upgrading buildings and upgrading different things, and just building up money, building up XP and stuff like that. And it just got to the point that when I needed to upgrade a building or several different things, it was taking so much time to gather those resources, because the higher up you go, the more complex the resources become. And it would take a long, long time to collect these resources. I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just waiting for like a day and a half to upgrade a building, and then I'm waiting another day and a half. I'm getting nothing from it. So I was on the verge. I was on the verge of dropping out, and then what's called a mayor contest started. And the mayor contest is basically it's a contest which goes over probably a couple of weeks, and it's split up into what they refer to as 8 seasons, and each season will probably last around 5 days. And within that, you at the very beginning you start in the bottom league. There are 8 leagues, and you start in the bottom league, and you're assigned. You're one of 100 people of a similar rating to you. So everyone's kind of equal. And you are given a list of assignments that you can complete. And you'll get points for how many assignments you do on different assignments. So an assignment might be you have to produce 30 of this particular resource. And then that's it. Or you have to upgrade 2 buildings. And that's it. And you'll get certain points. And the more points you get, the higher in the league you are. And then kind of towards the top of those leagues, you then get prizes at the end of it. If you finish in probably the top half of that league, when it moves on to the second season, you move up to the higher league, which then has better prizes. And that goes and goes and goes. And so I started just having a go at this. And I found that not many people were playing it. So when I was doing these assignments, I was finishing quite near the top, and I was winning prizes. And I was like, ooh, this is good. And then it finished, and I got promoted. So to use the sporting lingo, and that's what it is, I got promoted. And then again I started playing again, and again not many people seemed to be playing, so I was doing really well, and again I got near the top and I got promoted again. And I think I'm about to go into season 7, and I'm in the second of the 8 leagues now. So I've got promoted every single time. And I've got to the point now where I'm focused so much on strategy of how I can maximize the amount of points I can get that I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is the assignment I'm on at the moment. Whilst that's doing, I'm preparing all the resources for the next assignment. So as soon as I finish that one, I don't have to wait ages. I can get in and do all this. I'm clearing out dead wood, so I've got space to store resources and everything like that. I'm at a point now where the new season 7 of the 8, starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can't do anything with the game because it's literally...
He's taken the day off.
My storage within the game is full to the brim of resources. I've got about 6 or 7 buildings which are fully kind of ready to be upgraded, but I've kind of held off actually doing the upgrading because there will be an assignment that gets me to upgrade stuff. So I can just go, bam, bam, done, 3 seconds, points. So I've just literally kind of gamed the crap out of it in order to make sure when these assignments come around, I can bash through them and get higher up. Because now, I'm in like the final 2 leagues, the prizes are pretty good. So if I were to win the next league, I would get like 200 of the premium currency. And if I were to then win or get towards the top of the final league, which is the top league, the prize is 2,000 premium currency, which would cost a lot of money to get within the game. And I would never pay for a game. I never like in-app purchase ever. So this is kind of like I've never got to a point where I could actually have all this good stuff, and I'm really kind of invested in this now.
Oh, Dan, yeah, they've got you, haven't they?
So, Dan, how long do you spend with each play? You know, when every time you pick up your phone and dive into it, how long would you say it occupies your time for?
It's a 5-minute thing. Okay. Because it's a thing of, okay, where do things stand now? I've got it'll show me that 5 buildings can be upgraded if I have required resources. So I'll look into them. Okay, so I need this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this. Let's start making some metal. Let's start making some glass. Let's move some of this to start making some cement.
I can imagine this being like a transcript from a kind of a mayor office. Let's make the glass. Let's make the wood.
Pretty much, yeah.
Make metal.
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it works. How it works.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it is just quick bursts.
Dan, I don't know whether to be in awe of you and your time management or slightly worried for you. Just how much this game is clearly, and I don't want to use the word consumed, but I am going to use it, consumed you.
It has to an extent. And it's weird. And
the way you stared off into the middle distance then, as I was asking you that question, would suggest that yes, it has. You're thinking about it now. You're mulling it over.
I am. Well, I'm not at the moment because there's nothing I can do.
We can end this now. We can end this whole podcast thing now, Dan, if you just want to...
To use a sporting term, in terms of baseball, the bases are loaded. I'm ready to go. As soon as it all kicks off, and it kicks off at like 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, I will wake up around about 6:15. First thing I'm doing is going on my phone and kicking it all off because I want to try and get the top spot.
I love this.
And so I've got to get off it right from the beginning.
I absolutely love this. I think here's the thing. Like, it's very clearly like grabbed you, which I think is fantastic, and I'm so glad that you're having this experience with a free-to-play game, like, because it is really worth doing. Having this kind of a free-to-play experience where it's like, no, I actually really value this. I value putting my time into this. I can see this progression in my game, and I can see myself getting better at this. And I do think that SimCity is a game that you can get better at, genuinely. I got to the point when I was playing it where I was like, right, I don't think I'm very good at this, so I'm going to go and read a load of Reddit threads. And there's a really strong Reddit community that plays SimCity Build It and talks about strategy, about tactics, about, for example, having like, are you at the point yet, Dan? And I don't know whether or not I should say this. What device are you playing this on, Dan?
I'm playing this on the iPhone.
So you're playing this on an iPhone. If you start a new game on a completely different device, and you don't log into your account, you can set up what's called a feeder account. Have you heard about this? Feeder cities?
No, but I can guess what they would be.
Right, yeah. So basically it's like you've got your main city, and that's the one that you're currently playing with, and you've got this feeder city. Because when you start off the game, it's really easy to get hold of stuff like... the items that help you expand your land out. And so basically if you have a number of these feeder cities, you can just suck the resources out of them and make your main city even better and greater.
As in life.
As in life. So there are there's things like that, and then there are strategies like you've been devising, Dan, of doing stuff like that, using speed up timers, figuring out when to use the disasters, because then you can rebuild your buildings. And I do think that is really, really heckin' cool. How have you found? Because we set up a little clan, didn't we? And I didn't really. The problem I found with it is I didn't feel like it was very social.
No, so there is like a club element to it where you set up
because there are rewards, right?
Yeah, you set up a club and you can have people join, and it is more like a clan. And then once you've reached a certain number of members, you can then do what is called a club war, where I've not done it because it's not really interested me at the moment. I'll probably try it before I finish, but
yeah,
I'm not interested at the moment. Where you basically attack another group, a real life group somewhere else. I mean, you don't attack them in real life; that would be criminal. But
that would be mean.
Within the game. So yeah, you attack them, and then they attack you, and it becomes a war, and you damage cities. And there's a strategic element of attacking specific cities within a group and stuff like that. As I say, I've not really gone into that and stuff. We do still get kind of people joining the group, but it's fairly random. There's no kind of element that we know the people or anything like that, I think. And there's occasional people will come on saying, hey, are we going to do a war and stuff? And I go, hey, I don't know. Let's just chill.
We're pacifists.
So yeah, so I will probably try that at some point before I finish, because I have to say, once I finish this season, this kind of league, whatever it is, the issues I had before are still going to be there. That it's going to take a long time to upgrade stuff and all that. However, I don't think I could go back into another season, another group of leagues, even though kind of the rewards, if you can do well, are great. And like, for example, in the last round, I finished second, and I got like 80,000 of the soft currency. That was my prize, plus some random other gems and stuff like that, which is actually a really good prize. And it would take me a long time to create that amount of kind of gold outside of that. Yeah. But I would compare it in a way to a game we played before, Subterfuge. Where I think we all agreed that we all got too involved with it, and we pretty much to a person all said when we finished, loved it, but do not want to play that again, because it kind of just constantly was on my mind. And it's a similar thing with this. I mean, I'm actually enjoying the fact that I've got all my city kind of locked and loaded, because I can't look at it at the moment because there's nothing I can do. I'm enjoying this kind of reprieve that I'm just gonna. It's actually quite nice, and so. But I'd compare it to that feeling of real intense, focused gameplay, which I will enjoy this one time, and then I'll probably have to say no, I can't do that again.
If you like the economics and the management of a SimCity builder, I played a game last week that, on the face of it, sounds quite banal in terms of its theme. But I genuinely think, Dan, that you would love it and really enjoy it, because there is a real sense of satisfactory about its elegant mechanics, about the engine building, working your way through tech trees, and seeing a logical cause and effect by what you invest in and how you reap the rewards of that later on. And also, it's not about empire building. In fact, the game, you quickly realise as you're playing the game that if you try and go out and just get the most of stuff, you will pay massively for that later down the line. You cannot sustain that model, as in life. And this game is Brass Lancashire. So this is a board game.
It does sound dry, doesn't it?
It really does. And I'd seen it in passing because it's quite... Well, the first iteration of it, I think, came out in 2007. This is designed by Martin Wallace. And this is a reskinning of it that came out last year. And there are two variants of it. There's Brass Lancashire, Brass Birmingham. Ostensibly the same game, but I think there's slightly different mechanics. There's like the odd...
Is this like a Ticket to Ride thing?
Yeah, basically, yeah, but just for these two things. We played the Lancashire version, really, and this is my neighbour that brought this round, and he'd not long had it, and he'd never played a complete game of it, because the game occurs in two stages. It's set during the Industrial Revolution. So I'm trying to really make this theme sound as sexy as I possibly can.
It's exceptionally sexy.
It's economic.
Please stop. It's a little too sexy for my ears.
Shall I read it like... I could read it like it's an M&S advert, but
go on,
I probably won't.
Go on, do it.
So we're talking economic. We're talking industry and manufacturing. We're talking transportation. We're talking hand management.
I'm talking hand management myself right now.
Route network building as well. So it basically happens in two phases. There is the canal phase and the railway phase. And I'm not going to take you through every single mechanic of it. Okay. All I'm going to say is this. You build networks, trade routes. You find places to, develop coal, mine coal. And this is the great bit, is that certain buildings, because you're basically competing owners of cotton works, and you're competing with each other to control the board, like Ticket to Ride, actually, but instead of building rail networks, you're building transport networks. And I cannot explain the satisfaction you get, where it's like where you've lined up the dominoes just perfectly.
Right.
So when you do that little flick, you knock one and they all fall over. So knowing that I can build that tile, because if I follow the network along, there's a cube of coal there just waiting for me to take out, that I can then build that building along the line. And then once it's the last cube of coal on that tile, I flip it over and immediately score the points from it. That's fantastic. That is just great. That is like I'm having like a bag of Revels, and 50% of the bag are the flavour that you like. Ooh. And you're thinking, do I really want to carry on with this?
Can we tackle this? Can we tackle this, please?
Indeed.
What is if you could choose...
This is a very important question.
If you could choose half of the Revels bag to be 50% one flavour, what would that be? What would that look like for you?
The one that is like the Malteser-y one, that isn't called Malteser for legal reasons, but it's slightly bigger and chunkier.
Right.
And it's like a Malteser. Definitely not coffee. Definitely not coffee.
Isn't there like a toffee one?
There is a toffee one, Dan.
Like a soft. That's the one I'd go for.
I would go minstrels.
Well, if I want, I can just get minstrels.
And the good thing about the minstrels is it's a pretty safe one, because you can tell which one it is in the bag.
That's true. It's like the only one that you know. Yeah, and you're right, Dan. Absolutely. Like, yeah, I could just buy a bag of minstrels, and often I do. Okay, so now that we've sorted that
Other
out,
brands are available.
Other brands
And it's great. So you have in front of you, it's one of those board games where we've all done it, where you've looked at it and thinking, oh my gosh, that's impenetrable. Mm-hmm. But when you actually sit down and play it, you think, actually, I only need to focus on this little bit now, and the stuff in the future, I'll get to it when I get to it, because I can't get to it yet until I've cleared this bit. Right. And it becomes a lot more manageable. There's a process, there's a logic. These are just tech trees, and I start at the bottom and I work my way up. And I am building cotton works. I am building kind of coal supplies, iron supplies, this kind of thing, shipping. And then once I've worked my way up these levels, then the game ends when you exhaust all your cards, because you play cards, and those cards determine which industries you kind of work with. So a lot of your choices are mitigated by the cards you've got on your hand. So this hand management thing that you love, Pete, really comes into its element there, because you're not overwhelmed by all these possible choices. Yeah, we got to the end of it. It was about 2 hours. And we genuinely really enjoyed our time with it. And I would never have thought that a game about economics would have appealed to me in that regard. It also helps that Roxley have turned what is a very dry-looking game. If you look at the art from the 2007 version of it and you look at it now, it looks gorgeous. Right. It looks like something you want to put on your wall. The north of England, it's beautifully, this kind of beautiful watercolour painting. It also helped that I could see where we live on the board, and where Sam lives.
Right.
And yeah, it's really quite lovely that I'm playing a board game that has got these locations on it, like near where I live. It's not just generic England. These are actual industrial towns, because where I live in the north of England, really big part of the Industrial Revolution. So that added a little bit of appeal to it, I suppose, as well. But yes, I can really recommend it. So if you see it being played, Brass, don't turn your nose up of it. Give it a go. Give it a look. I honestly recommend it. Genuinely, I think, particularly you, Dan, I genuinely think you'd really enjoy it. I genuinely think, Dan, you would be really good at it. I think you would. I was not good at it at all, because that part of my brain, the numbers side of it, I just couldn't hold it all together, really. But my partner, who's an economist, she just marched on ahead of all of us. She almost lapped my neighbour around the board. She was incredible, just in terms of just getting that network and just seeing like the code almost like the Matrix. It was just brilliant. So but yet again, it's one of those great games where I came to the end of it, I didn't care. I had so much fun in those little moments of satisfaction of making the networks all link and things. The appeal in there was strong enough that I didn't care that I'd lost. So yeah, Brass, Lancashire. Check it out.
Also, listen, hey, we have an appropriate question, a still just about appropriate question.
Okay.
From our listeners. Neil Bailey has got in touch with us. Hello, Neil.
How did he get in touch with us, Pete?
I don't know. Basically, Neil got in touch with us. Was it Facebook? Might have been Facebook.
I don't know. Can they get in touch with Facebook, or is it Instagram? Is it Snapchat? Is it, I don't know, MySpace? Is it Zuka?
Is it MySpace? Zuka. Do you remember Zuka? Oh my god.
The worst bits of Facebook.
The worst bits of Facebook plus more bullying. So Neil Bailey's got in touch with us, which you can do at StayingInPod via Twitter or Facebook, or StayingInPod@gmail.com.
Cool.
And Neil. So hello, Neil. Neil says, what game are you most looking forward to in 2019? That's a really good question. Like, some of the questions that we get, I mean, all the questions that we get are great, but some of the questions are like really, really like precise. Whereas this one's like, lads, like, what games are you looking forward to in 2019? And I guess that can be any kind of games. So I'm going to throw this over to you, Kris, not to talk on the behalf of the group, but to begin the discussion.
Yeah. I've got two.
Oh, for God's sake!
I know. But like one is developed by Night School, who did Oxenfree, which was a game I really, really adored, and we talked about it on a previous episode of this pod. They've got a game coming out this year called After Party, where two friends end up in hell, and it's kind of like a fun type of hell, almost like a Good Place-esque version of hell. So it's a little bit softer, some lovely kind of neon colours. And they realise there's a loophole that if they can out-drink Satan, they can get out of hell. And the whole premise of the game is for them to try and do that, essentially. And it's got the same kind of mechanics of Oxenfree, side-scrolling, story-led, primarily. And I really loved Oxenfree. I loved the aesthetic. And I think I'm going to have a good time with this. I trust this games company's work. This is, I think, their second game.
Okay.
Anything they put their name to, I'm going to play. And I'm really drawn more to these quieter story-led indie titles. These shorter bursts, like Night in the Woods last year, say, for example. I'm currently playing Spider-Man, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm missing more these quieter types of games.
Mm.
And yeah, this is definitely one of those really for me. And the second one is Campo Santo, who gave us Firewatch, their game in the Valley of the Gods, or in the Valley of Gods, I should say, which I believe at the moment is only going to be a PC or Steam title at the moment, but there is a hope that they'll branch it out to consoles. They dropped this really gorgeous teaser, first person, tomb filmmakers, I think in 1920s, 30s Egypt, who are just there to make this film whilst wandering through the ruins of this, of these pyramids, these Egyptian tombs, as it were. I know nothing beyond that, but it just looks beautiful, looks stunning. And if you think back to the colour scheme, like I think it was Ollie Moss's art design on Firewatch, then yeah, this is going to be an absolute visual treat as well. And hopefully it'll have a similarly engaging story as well. So yeah, those are my two titles really for this year that I'm looking forward to the most.
I've kind of got two as well.
Well,
I don't actually know if either of them are coming out in 2019. But these are just the two games that I'm most looking forward to, full stop. One is obvious, which is The Last of Us Part 2.
Of course.
Obvious. The second one is also quite obvious, but this is the game that I'm most looking forward to, and it's Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's coming out. Notice the game that I'm not most looking forward to isn't Shenmue 3.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it, but if you were to give me Shenmue 3 and Oddworld, actually, if you were to give me Shenmue 3 or Oddworld Soulstorm, I've waited so long for Shenmue 3, I might have to go with that. Yeah, anyway, I've made my decision. Oddworld Soulstorm. I love the Oddworld games. I thought New and Tasty was fantastic, and I'm super, super excited because my understanding is it's not with New and Tasty was a kind of a reimagining of Abe's Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my understanding is that Soulstorm is not a reimagining of Abe's Exodus, which was a sequel which involved Soulstorm Brew. So obviously it's taking its name from there. But my understanding is it's a relatively original new game, and I just can't wait. So yeah, the sooner that can come out and I can play that, the better. That'll be one that I get day one. Absolutely. Now, Pete, do you want to give us some really obscure random titles that we've never heard of?
Yeah, sure. So I'm most looking forward to, in video games, I'm most looking forward to whatever they end up calling the Animal Crossing game that comes out on Switch, because I'm a really big Animal Crossing fan, and I think 2019 is the year of chilling out, and I can't think of a better place to chill out in than the lovely world of Animal Crossing. And playing that on my Switch would be lovely. And then, just because I don't want to disappoint you, Dan, what I'm really, really looking forward to in the world of tabletop games is a game called Bushido, and it's Risen Sun. So Risen Sun is the upcoming third edition of the tabletop war game Bushido. So we're on New Dawn at the moment. I can't remember what the original was called. I think it was just called Bushido. Then it was Bushido New Dawn, and now there's going to be Bushido Risen Sun, and it is a complete rework of the rulebook for Bushido, which, as much as I love that game, it desperately needs like an editor, and the GCT Studios, which is the company that's behind it, is really, really cool and like really good at making models, and I really like the setting. And this third edition hopefully will be much more accessible than previous ones, and it's a really good. The game is already it's a very good, I would say, quite complex skirmish game, which is like a small number of models, tabletop miniatures game, and I think it could be even more accessible than that, and I think that'd be really, really good for that to happen. And I can't wait to see what they do. They're talking about like updating all the little player cards that you get, and updating the rule book, and like stripping out some of the like fluffy the rules that just aren't needed and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be really, it's gonna be really, really good. It's currently in beta, and I'm really tempted to just play it, but I kind of just want to also just wait. So there you go. That's what I'm into. That's what I'm going to be hopefully into. Anyway,
it's an exciting year ahead. There's clearly a lot of really cool games.
Yeah, there's a lot of really nice things. Actually, you know what? I think 2019 is going to be a good one. It's going to be a goodie, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be nice. I'd be genuinely interested, like, actually, on the Twitters, on the Facebook, on the Soch, as Sam would say. One of the things I'd be really, really interested to know from our listeners, actually, is what they're excited about in 2019. And, like, we mentioned, like, the email, the Twitter, the Facebook. I'd be really genuinely excited to know what they're interested in, because apart from anything, like, I'd like some recommendations.
Yeah, completely, always, definitely.
So, like, let us know if you got if there's stuff that we should be like looking out for in 2019, because we don't know all of it.
So that was the Staying In podcast with Daniel Frost, Kris Darby, and Peter Willington. If something in this episode made you smile or laugh or have a little think, then please consider subscribing so you get the next one as soon as it's released. This program is all about sharing those things that we enjoy with those closest to us. So if you have a friend, a relative, mate, pal or chum who you think would love the Staying In podcast, then all we ask is that you tell them about it. Talking of sharing, if you need some more details on anything we've talked about on this episode, then go to stayingin.podbean.com or contact any of us via Twitter at StayingInPod. If you want to ask us a question, then a great place to start is with the email stayinginpod@gmail.com. But if you're more comfortable using Facebook or Twitter, then we are on there too. We also have curation pages on Steam and Board Game Geek, so if you're ever stuck for something to do, then search for us on there and we can guide you to the awesome stuff that we all love. Until next time, thank you for listening, and goodbye.